Welcome back to Mullet Mafia. I'm Cole Burke here with Sidney Houston, former first team All MAC defensive lineman out of Ball State and Saskatchewan Roughrider. Sidney, how are you doing today, man?
I'm doing great, man. I can't complain. How about you, bro?
Man, I'm doing fantastic. I'm just glad to be here.
Same, man. Pleasure having me, man.
Absolutely. I appreciate you coming on. I know you're a busy man, taking the time out of your day to do an interview. I appreciate it more than you know.
Yes, sir.
And you went to Ball State, obviously, Muncie, Indiana. Not many people have heard of that. What swayed your decision to choose Ball State over the other colleges that had interest in you?
Honestly, it's kind of it was like a double whammy in a sense. Like not whammy, but like double positive in a sense. But my best friend, one of my best friends, his name is Keaton Higgins. He was a student there, just a regular student when I was at my Division II McKendree back in Illinois. So when we came out of high school, he started at Ball State initially. So when I got ready to hit the portal, all the other schools that were offering me, like Colorado State, West Kentucky, they were a little bit farther. Colorado State was 18 hours from home. I have two daughters. I have a 5-year-old daughter and I have a 3-year-old daughter. So just knowing that I still just came from playing 30 minutes away from home, so they were able to see games. I was able to go home and spend time with them. I wanted to at least have the ability to go home if I chose to, and not have to be a whole stress and a flight and have to do all this planning. So by Ball State only being four and Muncie only being 4.5 hours from where I live back in East St. Louis, it was a no brainer, honestly, just knowing that I had ties there. And kind of ironic story in 2020 during COVID, I came to visit my friend Keaton, and I came to the Ball State versus Western Michigan game, the Western Division game. And that's the game with the crazy ending. It's all on YouTube all the time with the pitch and all the crazy stuff. But I was actually at that game, just being a fan in the stands and stuff, and just seeing the atmosphere and just seeing how the fans react to the team in this conference. So it was like kind of had already been on a visit before even taking one. So I hung out with a lot of the guys like Amici Uzadima, who played for the Chargers recently, and just guys who Bryce Cosby, just being around guys who are you know prof- professional athletes now, but were the leaders of that team, and just being around, seeing the culture it was there, it kind of already persuaded me to when I got the offer, I kind of already knew I was going there. So it was good, man.
I hear you, man. Proximity to home is a huge thing too in recruiting. And the experience I had coming out of high school, that was a big deal for me. Family being from Dallas, Abilene's only 3 hours away. I understand,
Yeah,
especially with daughters. I didn't know you had daughters. Tell me a little bit about that.
yeah. So my at the end of my senior year, I had graduated. The summer after my senior graduation, my first daughter was born. And then me and she was my girlfriend at the time. We during COVID, my second daughter was born in December. So, it had to mature a lot faster. It made me realize like if I want to make a career out of and make a man out of myself, I had the opportunity. So what am I going to do with it? I was my freshman year, I was playing at my Division II, but I played in all 12 games, but I wasn't really taking it serious. I wasn't bought in. I wasn't, putting in extra work as much. I wasn't really watching film. So, after having a reality check, like I got two mouths to feed at the age of 20, it was like, hey, you got to put up or shut up right now. You got, people depending on you. So, I just had to realize that I needed time to sit down and evaluate my options and knowing what I wanted to do with my life. So, I just had to grow up and just, realize that this is the perfect opportunity for me to put put food on the table for my family. So, just going from Division II to Division I, it was a journey that always kept me, nervous about how am I going to be a father and I'm away. But my grandma helps me a lot. She's very active in my kids' life even when I'm not here. So it makes it easier. FaceTime make things easier, than it could have been for guys back in the day who wouldn't have had no contact really to talk to their babies and their children because you really couldn't see their faces and, had an interaction. But, it was a journey and it's still, a journey even with playing professionally. So it's just something that me and their mother had to have multiple conversations and find a balance and finding communication and what works for us. And she's completely supportive of what I do, chasing my dreams and trying to provide.
And obviously that's impressive what you do having two kids out of like close to being out of high school. I mean, that's impressive the work ethic that you have to be able to do what you do, find time to obviously train for the CFL or the NFL, whoever comes calling next. That's a real testament to your work ethic, and that's pretty incredible, man.
I appreciate that, man. For real, it's definitely testimony. The good thing was also knowing that I wasn't alone. It was guys on the team, that also were fathers. And, we used to get with our team chapel all the time and just have sessions and, talk about the things that we're going to and helping each other, just how we get through stuff and, giving a little wisdom from our different situations and our different co-partners. So it's been a journey, but I've also had a lot of support, from family and from team, from the coaches. Everybody is always supportive about my kid, understanding if I need to take time off. If I got an emergency, they were always from Ball State to McKendree. I've always had, the support of my coaches, and I love that. So it's been an amazing journey for real, man.
Absolutely. And having support from your coaches is obviously huge. That's impressive of them to, understand where you're coming from. And then obviously Ball State MAC school. Not a lot of people know a whole lot about the MAC, but I'm a huge MACtion fan. Tuesday, Wednesday night, you get Ball State
Yeah,
versus Western Michigan or Toledo or whoever it may be. What's your
yeah.
favorite memory of a midweek MACtion game?
Midweek MACtion, man. I would honestly have to say between 2022, uh, we played Toledo, and this is the game to keep fighting for the West Division title to get to the chip. And at this time, I think they were like 5-2 or 6-2, and we were like 4-3 or 3-4, either one. But if we won this division game, we would have been tight. So it was a close game. I think it ended up being 21-24, no, 21-27. So it was a close game back and forth. They scored with like 20 seconds left to go in the fourth quarter. Go ahead, touchdown. But also, I can't go without saying this year, always was able to beat NIU for my second time in a row. Those are our rivals. We hate the Huskies as much as we hate the Red Hawks. But just being able to get a trophy, and win that trophy twice and win it at home and win it at their place. It felt a little better on a Tuesday night on CBS Sports, just being able to have a win rivalry game in your home state, against a team, that was also fighting for bowl eligibility. So it was a good win. And it was kind of cold. They had Rocky Lombardi back. He didn't play the year before. So we knew it was going to be a battle. And it was a good game all the way through to the end. We won by a game-winning field goal. You know, it was crazy that 2 years ago with that same place, we lost by a game-winning field goal. So, it's always anything can happen in MACtion. A 0-11 team could beat the MAC champions. Like anything can happen in MAC. That's why you say it's love when you really get into it and know the culture of it.
Man, and that's an awesome feeling too, winning that game winning field goal. I actually remember I was over at my house watching that with my brother. We were both
Mm,
in our Ball State gear, whatever, cheering on the Cardinals. That was a fun game to watch.
yeah, it definitely was for sure. And like you say, those are the games that you'll always remember. Just knowing that legacy when you go back to the school, that trophy's still there, and your year is on there with the score. Like you had a part of that. It's history.
That's awesome, man. And obviously, being in the North Midwest, Ohio, Illinois, Indiana, a lot of bad weather there in the winter. Is there
Yeah.
one specific game you remember that was just the worst weather that you've ever played in?
Uh, I've honestly been blessed to where I haven't had too many crazy games. Like I've seen some crazy stuff, like the Central Michigan versus Western Michigan game, or the Central
That's the
versus
one I was
NIU
going to
game.
bring up. I remember watching that.
Bro,
There was
what
about
this
2 feet of snow on the
man?
field.
That game was insane, and like I haven't had to go through anything like that, but definitely got some cold weather. And that was my first time ever playing, a real night game because in Division II we don't really have night games. So my first year at Ball State, 2022, we played Ohio. It was week 11. They had already clinched to go to the title game, but and they're on the East Division. But it was like maybe like 28 degrees, and it was snowing. This is my first time ever playing in the snow because it really don't snow that early in Illinois. But it was a snow game. It was cold, so my fingers were real cold. You know, that's my first time really having experience toe heat. Toe freeze. My toes were freezing, man. So it was definitely a crazy game. Just knowing like it was gonna be physical. They like to run the ball, like they were a physical team. So it definitely was rough, but we was able to still get through. It was a close game as well, but that weather, like you say, it makes it different at nighttime for sure.
Man, and I wish I could attest to that, but I'm from Texas. If it gets below 40, man, we would have practice canceled. That's
Hey,
crazy what you had to
I
go through
will
up north.
say though, like that's definitely true because when we went to Georgia and Tennessee, like early week 1, week 2 games, like that heat is insane. So I can imagine Texas heat. I've been to
Oh
Dallas,
man.
twice, and in the summertime, so I already know. I can imagine playing full football games in that kind of weather.
Yeah, man, it's rough. And we got my team, we actually have a team. We scheduled a home and home with them from Massachusetts, and we went up there last year, and they beat us pretty good. But they're coming back down this year for week two. It'll
Yeah,
be early September. It should be about 103 on the field when we kick off.
103 in September is insane.
Yeah, so it's gonna be a nice little home field advantage for the Hardin Simmons Cowboys.
Yeah, I feel you, man. I love inner country football. Like I went to East St. Louis, so we came down in my high school. We played them last year. I think it's Astacosia or something like that. Something with an A. Asta something. They blue. They navy blue. They in
From
Texas.
Texas,
Yeah,
Atascocita.
yeah. It's somewhere like
Yeah,
that. But they was real good, and they beat us pretty good. But like you said, they said that Texas Heat is nothing to play with, bro. Dry heat.
it's brutal. Oh yeah, it's brutal. Well, Atascocita too. They're in the Houston area, so that might have been a little more humid than if you're out in West Texas.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
They're
yeah, because I is kind of by the coast.
yeah, they always go 3, 4 rounds deep at least in the UIL playoffs. They're a Texas powerhouse.
Yeah. And like you say, it's crazy to like even being here, we hear about the Allens, we hear about the Duncanvilles, the Sotos, the Carroll City. Not Carroll City.
South
What
Lake
is it?
Carroll.
South Carroll? Yeah. Like you hear about those schools, but just to realize, like, it's so many more schools that you don't hear about because Texas is so big.
Oh my
Like,
God, yeah, it's crazy.
it's a
And you played for the Saskatchewan Roughriders this past season, and obviously
yeah,
Canadian Football League a little different rule wise. I know the field's 110 yards, I believe, and a little
yeah,
wider. Is there anything else different from playing in America to going to play in Canada?
yeah. It's a lot of differences. Like the biggest difference, really, for sure, is the waggle. The receivers get to run up to the line. They can stop. Like as long as they don't pass the ball, they can stop. But they can move. Like the offensive pieces. You also got 12 people on the field as well.
Oh, I didn't know they
Yeah,
played with 12.
yeah. You play with 12, but like the thing is, because the field's wider, so you got to have that extra help. But um, the waggle, you get the running start, and also as a D lineman, you have to be 1 yard off the ball. So
Really?
like, yeah, you can't hug the line of scrimmage, and like that's the biggest adjustment, especially for me being a pass rusher. Just knowing like now my timing's off on my steps. It was like it took me a little while to get used to, just knowing like now I got to make my move on like the fifth or sixth step instead of third or fourth step because you got to make up for that extra yard. But it was good to be able to adjust and get to learn and be able to weather anything because it was definitely a big adjustment. A lot of old linemen who were veterans, they were used to it, so they took advantage of it. But the biggest thing is that I learned from up there, like, it's the special teams. Special teams up there is an entire different world.
Really?
Like when you kick, like if you punt the ball and it goes to the uprights, you can get 1 point.
What?
Like, yes, it's called a rouge.
What in the world?
I'm telling you, like, and I don't know if you've seen it. It just went viral the other day on Instagram. But like, if it's set, because it's only 3 downs. It's only 3 downs. It's a lot of different rules. And that's why I think it's so big because they make sure it's nothing like the NFL. Like as
Really?
far as like rules and regulations, it's his own game, but it's still football. But it's still his own game, and then like it's definitely offense dedicated, in my opinion. I might be a little biased because I'm a defensive lineman, but it's definitely offense. You know, definitely offense help. It helped the offense more than anybody for sure because the receivers are getting a full blown running head start, full speed. You can run to the line full speed, as long as you don't cross the line before the ball snap. So just knowing that the receivers can also cut you if they coming from across the line of scrimmage with the waggle.
Really?
As a DN, like
Oh
they can.
man.
But the thing is, they got to come across the line of scrimmage so you can see them. They can't cut you on the same side. So like it's a lot of different rules for sure. It was a lot of adjustment, especially being up there for camp is only a month long. I mean, camp is a month long, and during camp you have two preseason games. So like you really only got 2 weeks of camp, and then you play a game.
Man, I thought it was just the field length and the forward motion from the receivers. I didn't know there was
Yeah,
all that other different stuff.
yeah. It's like it's small stuff, and a lot of it's on special teams. Like a lot of it because, like you say, it's no fair catches in the CFL.
Really? Wow.
No fair catches, and so you got to bring it out, and that's why I think the NFL is changing their rule this year because they seen success in the UFL with their rule and the CFL with their rule with the change and stuff like that. So
Huh.
I think it was definitely an adjustment, but it was a great experience, and it was great to put myself to the test again. How fast could I learn? Because you get in college and you in the system for a year or two, you get used to it. It was definitely very different and definitely testing. It tested me for sure. But I had a great camp, and but the biggest thing is nationality up there. Just
Yeah.
knowing that citizenship because you have to keep a certain amount of Canadians on the roster, and you got to have that you got to have at least 6 Canadians on the field at all times. Like they have a lot of special rules to make sure that
Really?
it's not an American league. Like it's definitely special. It's unique. It's unique. That's why it's lasted for over 100 years because they make sure they keep it unique.
I was about because you do see all these leagues come in and out, like the USFL, the AAF, all these leagues that go in and out for about a year or
Mm-hmm.
two in America. I guess that is what makes it unique is all the different rules. Like you said, they make it their own game there, which is really impressive on their part. But free agency, how's free agency been? How are you handling that? Looking to get back on a team, whether it's in the Canadian League again or whether it's in the UFL or the NFL. How's free offseason treating you?
It's been trying. Just knowing like this is my first ever cycle. Going through the free agency pool, but being on, I've only been back home for about 2 weeks, so it's maybe like 3 weeks now. But just knowing that it can happen at any moment, or also cannot happen, just always you have to find yourself staying positive because it's the first time in my life, my entire life since I was 3 years old, that I have no obligations to football or school. So you may go get a workout in, and then all right, I don't have my daughters for the day. Now I'm just chilling, not really working because I just got back. So it's like now I feel unproductive sometimes. Like, I'm like, oh man, I'm just chilling. Like I gotta go do, I gotta do something. I gotta be somewhere. I gotta be at a meeting. Like so, it's an adjustment for sure. And just knowing like that, like you say, you gotta work out kinda without a goal. Just like not knowing like something that you can see and go grab it and go touch it. Like it's not attainable. Like it's not physical. You really can't see it. You just got to be patient with it, and that's the hardest thing about having the opportunity and feeling like you did your part, and the odds still don't fall in your favor sometimes because of numbers. It's a numbers game, and that is a veteran ran league. Like by only being 9 teams, the 9 teams kind of recycle the veterans through and through until you can't
Yeah.
use them no more. And sometimes, younger guys, especially me it was me and another guy who was Canadian. He's from Ontario, and we were both 22 at the time. But like, we were the youngest guys on the team by like 2, 3 years. Like because of some guys, a lot of guys come from the NFL, and come here, or a lot of guys just who are Canadian don't even play football until maybe they sophomore year of college or junior year of college because they so focused on education. So it's a little different for sure, but you know, I I grind because I know anything can happen and I gotta trust God. Like, it tests my faith a lot because you just gotta realize that it's out of your hands right now. Like I'm not calling. My agent's doing all the calling, doing all the communication between back and forth between teams and stuff. So I can have less stress. So you just gotta control what I can control. That's the biggest thing. Just being understanding and being patient. That's the only thing that I can just continue to reiterate in my life.
I hear you. And obviously, it's all in God's hands. He has a plan in terms of where you go next or what happens next in your life. That's how has your faith played a part in your football career and your journey that you've taken?
It's definitely a big part because I've been raised in church my whole life. I've been going to the same church since I was born. I'm playing the drums in my church since I was 6 years old, 5 years old. So I'm a big faith guy, but you know when you're brought up in it, it's kind of it get hard to really understand it because you've been made to do it. So I had to really find them on my own in college. Being away from parents, not going to church every Sunday anymore because you got school, you got games, and now you come home on the weekends late. So like you're not really going to church, you're not exposed to it as much as you were. So you kind of get away from your studies, kind of get away from praying as much because you're getting used to a whole new way of life. But you know, I had to find them because you go through stuff in college. I had a second kid in college. I was going through. I transferred, so it was just those situations made me lean on him harder. It made me realize that I got this far by leaning on him. So why stop now, or why get lazy and forget now to pray and send him his praise? So just understanding that no matter where I do, he's helped me have a safe keep on myself by letting me go to school for free, have no loan, no debts, which is a blessing. Just coming from where I come from, and coming from anywhere, but like just knowing that I seen my grandma literally just continue to pay off debts until she was almost 60 years old. So she wanted to have an education, and God was able to put myself to have a degree and have no debt from that. So I kind of just give myself grace and realize that he's never given up on me, so I can never give up on him because I lost my mom in 2017 when I was a sophomore in high school, and ever since then I moved with my grandma, and me and my two little brothers have been with my grandma since then. But even before then, she was in our life, but like she's my stone, like that's my rock, like she's the one who you know anything more is keeping me in a safe space, praying, you know I'm hurting. I just spend my last dollar trying to wash clothes. Like anything. Like my daughters need some Pampers, or she taking them to them. She get them every on the weekends. Like without that lady, I wouldn't be where I am today. I wouldn't be who I was because losing a parent, that was her only child. So she hung on to us and made sure that we had everything because we her children now. Like we was all that she had left from her only daughter. So it was a journey just knowing that she was there every step of the way. She ain't missed a beat. She haven't probably missed a you know she's made almost over double the games every year, over half the games every year. So even if they're away home, Georgia, Kentucky, Tennessee, wherever, like she's doing what she can to make sure that I feel supported and loved and know I got somebody in the stands cheering for me. So she's my biggest cheerleader in life. So it's
Yeah,
been okay. I've been fine. I cannot complain about anything, even though everybody go through their stuff, but she's kept me stable. She's kept me calm and collected. That's like
absolutely. And that's incredible to have someone like that in your life, help through your journey, through your walk. That's always incredible to hear someone's story about that. And, I'm happy that you have her in your life, man. That's incredible for you. I'm happy for you.
I appreciate that, man.
And then last question, kind of wrap it up. Ball State, man, they got some of the best uniform drip in all of the MAC. They got those red sparkly helmets. They got the white
Yeah.
helmets. What is your favorite uniform combination you ever wore as a Ball State Cardinal?
Favorite uniform combo? I'm gonna have to go white helmet with Dancing Charlie
Yeah, yeah.
with the white jerseys and the red pants.
Y'all wore that
Who
against Georgia, didn't y'all?
wore it against Georgia?
Man,
Yep,
I
that's
thought
my.
y'all were gonna pull off an upset there for a little bit.
Hey man, it felt good in the first quarter, but when the team's that good and that complete at every level, every position, like you say, you gotta be doing every single thing right to do
Yeah.
something like that. Every single thing. But it was a fun game. I can always tell somebody I played the number one team in the nation. I
Yeah.
played the back-to-back champions, national champions, like, and had a good game. So,
That's
you know, but
not many
like
people get to say that either.
not many people. And like you say, that's why I always tell people like enjoy college, bro. Like, yeah, the league is always everyone to go. This has been our dream and our goal since we was 5 years old, so we picked up a ball, but take the time to enjoy it. Whether you D2, whether you D1, D3. Like I'm a D2 baby. Like I know what it's like to, go to the grind and not even know you're gonna have a certain equipment for practice today, or knowing if you ain't gonna have your uniform washed for practice the next day. Like I I just seen both sides of it. I just seen the good and the bad of college football. And like, even being a MAC school, but just knowing like being around guys, going to train for the draft with guys who, you know, everybody's the same. Everybody go through the same stuff. Everybody go through the same mental battles. It's just everybody don't deal with them the same. So like talking to you too, bro, like no matter what you go through with these coaches, with class, like always remember what got you there. I promise it won't fail you. Like never question who you are, never question your talent, because if you wasn't good enough, you wouldn't be there. So like trust yourself, keep your faith, bro. Appreciate you for having me too, bro.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate this interview more than you know. I know you're busy taking your time out of your day, man. That's all I got for you today, but I appreciate the time you took out of the day, Sydney, and best of luck to you.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you, man. Definitely know Mullet Mafia, man.
Yes, sir. You have a
Yes,
good
sir.
one.
All right, you too, bro.